It felt like a special night in a way. I felt like everyone was really excited to go out.
For 21-year-old college senior Samantha Josephson, life is just about to take off.
You were always laughing when you were hanging out with Sammy. She was always the one that was ready to go. She'd get ready quick and she's ready to go out.
She called for an Uber.
It would not have taken her very long to realize that this driver is going in the wrong direction.
We know that now. The child locks were activated and she couldn't get out.
One of Sammy's biggest fears was being trapped somewhere. I always told both my kids, you know, like, fight for your life if something happens.
I still see to this day the footprint on the back window. I still vision her kicking and screaming.
Hey, get over here! Go and run! Hey, I'm gonna release the dog!
You always have those that stick with you forever, and this was absolutely at the top of my list.
There's blood all over his car, man.
Samantha Josephson and her friends are celebrating their senior year spring break trip to Florida.
Probably one of the best weeks of my life. We actually drove from South Carolina down to Miami for a few days. We were celebrating because she had just gotten into law school, but it was the end of March, so we only had like a month and a half left of school.
Samantha and her housemates are getting ready for a celebratory night out. It's an early start to one of their final weekends together before graduating from the University of South Carolina.
She straightened her hair that day. She always straightened her hair, even though it took her forever. But she had this new orange top on, these black jeans, and these platform sandals. And I remember she borrowed like Tegan's bralette to go underneath it because she couldn't find the right thing to go underneath it. She looked so cute. I remember too that night we were like, Sammy, you look really pretty, like more than normal. She had just gotten back from visiting Drexel, where she was getting a full ride to law school, and she had committed to going there. So we were like, let's go out and celebrate Sammy on this Thursday night. So we were all hanging out at our place, getting ready, hung out for a little bit, and then that's when we went and walked down to the bars. There was just always this like fun, energetic atmosphere. And being around her, you couldn't help but smile or be happy and just honestly be in the best mood. We were walking to the bar. She was like, I just want to tell you that I love you and you're one of my best friends.
The group heads to the lively 5 Points district of Columbia, a place popular with students.
The 5 Points district in Columbia is really a blast. You can kind of bar hop. You can go from one place to the next, and it's filled with college students.
It's walkable for students, so it's where the kids would go at night to watch ball games or decompress from classes.
You would kind of just hop around and go from bar to bar. Some were like country bars, some were like clubs, some had like live bands.
They settle in at one of their regular haunts, the Bird Dog Bar, a familiar spot on a normal night. Nothing feels out of place.
We walked in, we all took shots to celebrate Sammy getting to school, and then we all got drinks. They always played really good throwback music, and that was always some of our favorites, especially Sammy. She always loved it. I remember we got up on the booth and we danced. We found some of our other friends. We talked with them for a while. It was just overall a really good night.
Sammy was always happy and bubbly and just wanted to make people laugh and be like the goofy one. A bright, beautiful smile, the laugh that she had, it was super infectious. And she was really just that like light in a room that wherever she went, whoever she was with, she made them better just by her being around.
This is no different than any other night in terms of a group of friends who go to college together, some who live together, are going out to celebrate, have a few drinks, talk, listen to music. This is something they've done dozens, if not hundreds of times in the past, including being in this exact bar.
While those in the group are still enjoying themselves, some decide to head home early.
We were having a great time. It just felt like a normal night out. And then I just think I was kind of ready to go. I didn't feel well from drinking, so that's kind of why I was like, okay, I'm gonna go home. Sammy was down to go with me, and then she wanted me to wait, but I just felt really sick, so I felt like I had to leave.
Meanwhile, Samantha is texting her boyfriend Greg throughout the evening. He's 115 miles away in Charleston, planning to drive up to see her the next day.
They're all having a good time, but Samantha's really kind of missing her boyfriend, who's graduated in December of 2018, and she's had tried to talk him into coming down and going out. So I think she's having a good time, but at the same time, she is kind of missing him. And so instead of saying, let's all go home, she decides, I'll go home.
So she called for an Uber so that she could get a ride back to her apartment. Her friends decided to stay and hang out, and that was not necessarily uncommon for her and her friends, which is why they were careful to take care of one another. They used the Find My Friend app on each other's phones to track each other's movements.
I think she only left like 15, maybe 20 minutes after I did.
There's a lot of people, a lot of police, there's a lot of video cameras there. It's what I consider to be a safe place.
If you don't have a car or you're out at a bar and you want a safe form of transportation, people will use an app like Uber or Lyft and will utilize that to get from point A to point B.
And then with rideshare gaining popularity, we actually had areas for rideshare, pick up and drop off. And a lot of the kids use rideshare. And that's exactly what she did. She orders an Uber, and you could see her standing in that area where the pickup and drop-offs occur pretty frequently.
She's texted me the night before. She goes, can I use your credit card to go use an Uber? And we had discussions about that because she was getting carried away with the Uber rides and using my credit card. And I said, all right, I'm watching you. I got you. I said, last time.
This is any young woman who's outside of a bar, ready to go home, who opens the door, has some kind of conversation, and gets in and closes the door. There would have been nothing that would have raised my alarm or raised my concern in any way.
Samantha Lee Josephson was born in late summer 1997 in Princeton, New Jersey, the second of two girls.
We were 20 months apart, but 1 year in school, so her birthday's in August, mine's in December. I'm definitely much more serious, much more to the point. Sammy was always happy and bubbly. You were always laughing when you were hanging out with Sammy.
When she was little, she always had these big curly hair. She was never afraid to try anything. She loved participating in different sports and activities, and it was more for her about the social aspect.
Samantha was bubbly, energetic. When she would come into the room, you would know she's in the room. With her quacky voice, just her loudness, and then saying, hey, hi, and all the heads turn. That was Samantha.
Young Sammy, as she's known, is raised in Robbinsville, a quiet town in New Jersey.
Originally, Robbinsville was a farming town, so there were lots of trees, farms, open areas, but we were also close to New York and close to Philly. We were close to the beach.
All the kids say they feel like they grew up in a bubble because we all moved into the community at the same time, so we all started having kids at the same time, so everyone was always together outside playing.
Some of my earliest memories is just our families being pretty much inseparable, and that meaning me, Sid, and Sammy were pretty much inseparable. Our families did everything together. Our families went on vacations growing up, so we rented houses in Long Beach Island and would do that, our families, and a couple of other families on our street. Everyone knew everyone. The doors were pretty much always open, and it was just a very close-knit community.
I think she just felt super, super safe.
Samantha excels academically and decides to attend the University of South Carolina, more than 660 miles away in the state capital of Columbia.
I was surprised. I never thought she would go that far away from us, but she loved it.
She would come to visit me, and I went to go visit her. So it was nice always having that built-in friend and that built-in person to go to.
I was always proud of her. To me, it didn't matter if she went to a county college or a four-year college. We just wanted her to be happy, and she chose South Carolina.
Columbia is really almost a melting pot. It's the state capital. We're very dynamic, very diverse. It's a true capital city where there's just a lot going on.
She had a lot of friends in South Carolina. She had friends on her freshman floor. She had friends from classes. She had friends from just hanging out in the dorms. Her friends, she ended up joining a sorority where she made friends. I think she really found her home there.
Now, in the spring of 2019, Samantha and her college friends decide to head to Florida, one last girls' trip together before graduation.
We had a great time. We all became even closer than we were before, and I didn't even think that was possible. We were getting ready to celebrate her and getting ready to graduate, and just so much excitement, so many highs, to then have, things taken away from us, which was obviously not how we expected the end of the senior year to go. We all just kind of got that gut feeling that something wasn't okay.
Samantha's bed is untouched. Her phone goes straight to voicemail. At first they're puzzled, then alarmed. Samantha hasn't come home.
We woke up and we were all, just hanging out kind of. And then Sammy's door was still open a little bit. And we were like, that's weird. She always shuts it. And so I think we went in and looked quick and we were like, why does it look like she hadn't been here? We always used to track each other on Find My Friends on our iPhones. Sammy's just said no location found. We were like, that's really strange. So then we were kind of talking to Greg and we were like, have you heard from her? And he's like, no, I'm getting really worried. I haven't heard from her since last night. And he, at the time, had thought she went home with someone else or something because he had taken a screenshot of where her phone was last found, which was the opposite direction of where we lived.
When Samantha doesn't show up for her 8 a.m. shift at a nearby deli, her friends decide to raise the alarm.
That's not like her. She would always show up, she would always be early, and if she wasn't gonna make it, she would definitely give enough time notice. And we started to get worried. We were like, is she in the hospital? We just started texting anyone that we could and knew, just asking if they had seen her since last night. We actually decided all to get into my car and drive to that location. It was just in this random neighborhood, down the road from 5 Points. So we started looking around through the leaves, the trees, just anything. Didn't find anything. So we started knocking on doors, asking if anyone had seen. We showed a picture of her if they'd seen her. A lot of people had said no. And then that's when we really got worried. So we went back to the apartment. My roommate Carly made the 911 call.
It was a Friday afternoon before where I worked in a school. We had spring break, and I was at lunch with my girlfriends. And when I got to my classroom, Greg called, and I thought it was really strange because he never would call me during the day, and told me they couldn't find Samantha. And I just in my head, I didn't think anything terrible. I just thought maybe she went to a friend's house, fell asleep, her phone died, anything.
My thinking was, what the hell is going on? Where is she? My kids spoke to Marcy every single day by text.
As Marcy and Seymour Josephson drive 700 miles to reach Columbia, Samantha's friends and boyfriend continue scouring the area, checking bars, and hoping she's simply misplaced her phone or that maybe she's asleep somewhere.
We then went back to Bird Dog, and since Sammy and Carly knew the manager there really well, they actually let us look at footage. That's where we got the footage that we were able to turn into the police, that you can see her.
We were able to watch video quickly to confirm that she did in fact get in a vehicle and did not go home.
She walks outside, and unbeknownst to Samantha, instead of going right where the Uber driver was planning to meet her, she takes a left. It was just a mistake. So she's out there and she's waiting. Some cars come by. At one point, she tries to get in a car and realizes that's not her ride. And so she had talked to her boyfriend while she's waiting. He knows where she's going, that she's headed home.
Outside the bar, Samantha scans the street for her Uber, a dark-colored Dodge.
She knows she's looking for a dark car. This black Chevy Impala pulls up. He kind of pulls up pretty close to her.
You see Samantha approach the Impala and immediately go to the back passenger door.
Like most people, I would assume that she says something like, "Are you here for Samantha?"
She opens the door, gets in the vehicle with little to no hesitation. The car door closes, and at that point, it seems like everything's okay. The Impala puts it in reverse, backs up, and then drives off down Hardin Street.
There was no record of a rideshare pickup there, so we knew that it was very, very likely that we had a legitimate abduction.
They then knew at that moment that's where they needed to focus their search, was that black Chevy Impala.
The police immediately searched through security camera footage from the area.
While Samantha is waiting outside, there is a video that shows this person in this black Chevy Impala is circling the block.
You can see the black Chevy Impala numerous times drive by the Bird Dog and on other streets around the 5 Points area.
We don't know what he's doing, but it certainly looks like he is looking for somebody.
Passes by the Bird Dog on multiple occasions.
It almost looks like some kind of stalking or some kind of pacing.
Eventually, you see the Impala turn around a couple blocks away, come back towards where Miss Josephson was standing, pull into a parking lot, do a U-turn in the parking lot, and then come to pull back out of that parking lot, all within about 20 feet of where she's standing.
It was very clear that he locked in on her and targeted her specifically for the abduction.
It's been over 12 hours since Samantha Josephson vanished. Her friends are desperate for answers. Her parents are halfway through their 12-hour drive to South Carolina. Security camera footage shows Samantha getting into a dark-colored car outside a bar. It looks like an Uber, but the driver hasn't come forward. In a bid for answers, police released the footage to the press, hoping someone somewhere recognizes the vehicle or who's inside.
It was hard to see it, especially I think for me because I was supposed to leave with her.
The camera footage of Samantha getting into the back of the black Impala is the last time that anyone saw her alive.
I just felt like in my heart, if something bad happened as mom, I felt like I would have felt something, that I would have had some kind of intuition. And I really did not. I was just, praying that everything was okay. Driving there, I think I was just in a daze. I don't even think Seymour and I spoke to one another most of the trip. We were very anxious.
The car was completely silent. The radio wasn't on. We weren't talking. We were just head down and just driving like an idiot.
Columbia police put out a Be on the Lookout alert, or BOLO, for the Impala.
Unfortunately, the windows on the car were tinted, so you were unable to see inside the vehicle. And the nature of the video footage was grainy enough that it was impossible to make out any sort of a license tag on the back of the car as well.
Back in Robbinsville, New Jersey, Sydney is amongst those gathered at a family friend's, waiting for news.
My two aunts drove up from South Jersey to also just be together while we waited. We were getting little bits of information at the time as my parents were driving. I went on to Instagram or Facebook and saw that there were posts. I called my mom immediately. I called her and I said, "This can't be real. Is this real?"
I was constantly on the phone with the police. And I do remember driving, and I was driving very, 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 very fast. It didn't take me 12 hours. It only took me 10 and a half hours to get down there of how fast I was driving. We had notifications, and Marcy was, when we were checking her bank account, like you could see how many times that somebody's trying to use her card, those type of things. Like we called and said, somebody's trying to use her card. They're like, well, do you want us to, should we cancel? Like, no. And the police were like, no, don't cancel anything. This is, we can track her this way.
Off the quiet back roads of New Zion, a small rural community 65 miles from Columbia, two men out hunting turkeys come across a scene that will change the course of the investigation.
One of the hunters sees something that really catches his eye, and he has no idea what it is initially. The injuries were so severe that it was difficult for them to identify her by her facial features or just by looking at her. But the fact that her clothes were similar, that she has this long, dark hair, made them very, very sure that this was Samantha.
Police make a formal identification. The body found is that of 21-year-old Samantha Josephson. She has suffered more than 100 stab wounds.
Well, I think it shows that there's rage, and probably based on, again, her body conditions and some of her nails being broke, and just it was very evident that there was a very vicious fight, that she fought hard for her life, and it was brutal.
I was driving. I remember just looking out, mumbling to myself, going, "This is not going to end well." And I said that, and I remember Marcy going, "What? What did you say? You say something?" I said, "No, nothing."
There was a long table, and there were police there. And I just remember there was a gentleman at the table, and I just saw coroner on his jacket. And at that point, it just was like, no way, no way. And then they told us 99% sure that it was Samantha because of her clothing. And I think I just lost it.
And I remember just hitting the table. I don't know if I don't break the table, but I mean, I hit it hard, and they jumped back. And I just remember Marcy crying, screaming.
I think they left out a lot of details when they first told us for a good reason. But I just remember we were all just in this blank room at the jail, and her parents walked in, and we thought by them walking in that it was gonna be good news, like they found her. But once they started talking, I think we knew. And I still remember just not even be able to wrap my head around it.
Absolutely the hardest call that I've ever had to make in my entire life. To tell Sydney that Samantha's gone.
I think all of us were so hysterical that I remember just not even being able to breathe. And I got to the point where tears just wouldn't even come out because there was just nothing left.
And at that point, we really had no idea how they found her, where she was, how severe it actually was.
Police across Columbia and the surrounding counties are on saturation patrols, urgently trying to locate the black Impala linked to Samantha's disappearance. Clues start emerging. Video of a possible suspect covering his face, trying to use Samantha's bank card at multiple locations. And workers at a fast food drive-thru report seeing an Impala with a white sheet covering the back seat. But before police can find it, the black Impala finds them.
Everybody's looking for that car. We had a vehicle, one of our K-9 officers was in the 5 Points area, and a car meeting that description literally pulled in front of that officer, and he initiated a traffic stop.
Kilo Alpha 824.
Very short distance from the where the abduction occurred.
Zone 1.
I've often said that, what would possess someone to come back to the, scene of the crime, but to come back and have that intersection with a police officer, that was divine intervention, in my opinion.
What's going on, sir?
How you doing, sir?
You got your license? You got your license on you? I'm also Columbia Police Department K-9.
Oh, no, sir. I don't got a license with me.
You don't have no license on you?
Yes, sir. I lost my license at the club.
Who's smoking the marijuana?
I had smoked some earlier, sir.
All right, man. You have to step on out, man.
All right.
All right, here's the deal, man. I pulled your car over because it matches the suspect. Get your hand in your pocket. What are you, crazy? Get over here. Hey, get over here! Go and run! Hey, I'm gonna release the dog! I can't, I was just in civil style. Bravo Mike wearing a gray sweatpants, gray sweatshirt.
While officers pursue the driver, a female passenger is questioned.
What's his name?
Nate.
Nate? Yeah, that's a pink iPhone. Pink keys with a USB drive. These are good for students.
Right, yeah.
And the keys labeled room.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. Where? Huh?
Look at the back seat right here.
There's blood all over his car, man.
Yeah, we're not going to touch anything else.
When police find Samantha's cell phone, house keys, and copious amounts of blood in the Impala, they declare a major crime scene and call in forensic teams.
There was a lot of what we call trace and biological evidence. Ultimately, what we did was we held that car right there.
I got him. Get on the ground. Stop moving.
The suspect, when he ran away, he ran right into some other officers that were coming from another direction.
What's the point? Stand up.
You got anything else on you? What's your ID? What's your name?
Oh, I got you.
You don't have ID?
The driver of the black Impala is identified as 24-year-old Nathaniel Rowland.
You better talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you can afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to you, represent you before any questioning. If you wish, you can decide at any time to exercise these rights.
Nathaniel Rowland is taken into custody. He denies being in the 5 Points area the night that Samantha was taken.
It's about murder. Nathan, it's about murder.
You know I didn't do that. Well, you think I did do it?
All I asked you a while ago was I read your rights. You said you didn't do it. I was going to ask you to prove to me you didn't do it. Because there's a whole lot of damn evidence.
But what's inside his car tells a different story.
The amount of blood that was found in the vehicle made it clear that this is where the crime occurred. This is where the stabbing took place.
One of Sammy's biggest fears was being trapped somewhere. So I think just thinking of how she felt when she realized that something was wrong and she couldn't get out is really hard to think about.
The disappearance of 21-year-old college student Samantha Josephson is no longer a mystery. She's been found, murdered, and left in rural South Carolina. The man behind the wheel of a black Impala, Nathaniel Rowland, is in custody. Now, police and prosecutors must prove what happened and why.
There was blood literally soaked all the way through everything that makes up a seat in the back of one's vehicle, all the way down to the metal underneath the seat padding.
Forensic teams examining the Impala make a chilling discovery.
The child locks were activated and she couldn't get out. We don't know at what point she realized that. We assume that once he deviated from the direction that she would realize she needed to be going to be taken home, that I'm sure there was, a panic and a reaction from her that probably led to a confrontation.
She was literally trapped in the back of the car. So at some point, After she had gotten in the vehicle, obviously a struggle ensued. No one knows how, why, or anything like that, but it was clear that it had happened. The amount of blood, quite frankly, that was found in the vehicle was astonishing. And you knew that Samantha was in there fighting for her life because, among other things, on one of the windows in the back seat was Samantha's footprint, which would suggest, combined with the child lock being activated, that she was literally trying to kick her way out of the back of the car.
Attack is really too mild of a word. He brutalizes her. He stabs her 120 times. It's almost like he was trying to just erase her. The level of violence is incomprehensible. I mean, typically when you see that kind of rage or that kind of violence, it's between people who know each other, who have some kind of a history. And yet the two of them had never met each other before this night.
You had to go down 2 dirt roads or gravel roads and then through some brush into a heavily wooded area until her body was seen. It was not the type of place that a body would have been placed if someone had never been there before. So it was evident that whoever put her there was somewhat familiar with the area. And as the investigation later revealed, Mr. Rowland's parents, his familial home, was literally about 1 mile as the crow flies from where her body was located.
Once he disposed of her body, he came back to Columbia. He did try to sell her phone, use her ATM card. He also took steps to try to clean up the car. He had some cleaning materials in the trunk. He also had materials that someone that was like looking to abduct someone might have. So this was not only was it horrific, but it was premeditated. He planned to do what he did to somebody.
Inside the Impala, police find an eviction notice. It leads them to the home of Nathaniel Rowland's girlfriend. Outside, in a trash can, they make a crucial discovery: a double-bladed multi-tool stained with blood. Alongside it, the clothes Rowland was seen wearing the day before, also soaked in Samantha's blood. Nathaniel Rowland is charged with the kidnapping and murder of Samantha Josephson. He is denied bail.
I don't know what would motivate anybody to take part in such a horrific, violent act. Her manner of death was horrific. It demonstrated, overkill, violent struggle. I don't know what would possess anyone to commit such a heinous act.
It was hard to watch, and it was hard to see him every day for the trial because he just showed no remorse and he looked like he could not care less to be there.
Nathaniel Rowland's trial begins. Samantha Josephson's family attends every day.
I was really nervous about going, and the prosecution was incredible, and they told us that they would let us know if things were going to be graphic. So we really left the trial several times, and then came back after because still to this day, I haven't seen certain things and I never can see them. I visualize in my head what happened, and to hear it, it was worse.
It takes the jury 1 hour to find Nathaniel Rowland guilty of murder.
It's the most severe murder that has occurred that I have been a witness to as far as presiding in court.
He is ultimately sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
I have dealt with the heartless, and you fall into that category. A person without any remorse whatsoever.
I wish he would have taken some accountability, but he's dead to me. And I don't think there's any way of justifying what happened. So even if he said he was sorry, I could care less because he took my baby away from us.
My ultimate goal at the trial was to get my hands on him. I think everybody knew that. I didn't do the stuff that I wanted to do and go after him because of Marcin said.
It is really one of the most senseless murders that I've ever come across. In terms of the victim that he chose, in terms of what his potential motives were, he gets no money. He's not able to sexually assault his victim. And he ends up, being incarcerated for the rest of his life.
In the wake of Samantha's murder, the Josephsons refused to let her death be in vain. They channel their grief into action, raising awareness about rideshare safety, campaigning for stricter laws, and launching the What's My Name Foundation in Samantha's memory.
New Jersey does have a law called Sammy's Law, and that rideshare vehicles have to have a placard on their car, and it has a QR code that you would scan with a picture of the driver to make sure it's the right car. And we were trying to do something similar to that with the federal law, making it some kind of technology.
We felt safe on campus, so we used to all Uber home all the time after drinking, and it never felt like anything was wrong, or like even though you're getting in the car with a stranger, it was just kind of the normal thing to do. And it still is the normal thing for some people, but I just think it's hard because now it really makes you look at it differently as you don't really know who's driving you. And unfortunately, it took the life of one of my best friends.
I think it changed how people approach rideshare across the country. And I think people, they want to know the names of the driver, they look at the license plate, they walk around the car sometimes. I think it brought immediate attention to the, to that industry and the vulnerability and the checks and balances that needed to be in place.
I always am waiting for, especially when we're at home, of her coming through the garage door, the door slamming, because she could not close the door softly. She didn't know what that meant. The door slamming and going and hearing, "Hey, I'm home." To this day, I wait for that.